Audio is working now. Sorry. I had to mute my audio on the other display. So I think we're good now. I get so excited to do these, guys. That's all I was saying. How excited I am to do this. Yeah, this is one of the shortest chapters in the book. So I'm like a little, bummed that it's short, but it's still going to be great. Cecilia, you get my ping on Discord? I get so excited to do these. Hold on, I got to set everything up. Okay, so we're going to do this like a normal one. I mean, for the first 15 to 20 minutes, we're just going to chat and hang out, and then I'm going to start reading. And then we're going to go from there. How's your guys' Friday? What's going on? What's new? I was trying to do something where I need to make better transitions for all these live streams. So I didn't have time to do this, and I was trying to do it last second, but it wasn't going to work. I was going to cut in Lord of the Rings movie moments. So at the beginning of the stream, I was going to have it where Bilbo goes, welcome, come in. And then he talks about, how about a bottle of the old Wynyard? I was going to put a little clip in that to welcome everyone. But it was too late. I couldn't do it. So I hope your guys' day is going good. It is a cloudy and not really rainy, but just a cloudy day here. I'm right outside of New York City. And I'm really excited to read Lord of the Rings. It was fun just talking about it with my friends yesterday. Just how good this chapter is. Or the previous chapter is, the Forbidden Pool. And it's interesting too because there's so many small chapters in here. This is a very, very short chapter. I think one of the shortest. But even the short chapters are so good. Someone was mentioning how they're oh, this is a chapter that I think one of the first comments, this is a chapter that I always skip through. I'm glad you liked yesterday's live. That makes me happy. Now we got another live, Journey to the Crossroads. Maybe this is I don't know if anybody would keep track of this. I don't think anybody really does legitimately keep track of this. Maybe someone has a list of all their favorite Lord of the Rings chapters. They ranked them. Has any of you guys do that? Ranked all the Lord of the Rings chapters? Because what would your least favorite chapter be? What is the one that you don't like at all? Hey Wes, don't do that, bud. And I was looking he's got a little cut on his leg. I know that would be an insane task, but I feel like if there's anybody up to it, it'd be Lord of the Rings people. Treebeard is the worst chapter. He's so slow and boring. That was a slow moving chapter, I have to be honest. Shadow of the Past is a big favorite. Shadow of the Past is a really good chapter. That's one of the ones that is most memorable. And that's the one that has the most callbacks too. I think everything harkens back to that chapter. Because they do a deep dive on everything that was going to happen, all the plot. But there's so much callback to that chapter. Even all the stuff that we were just discussing about Faye and the role of Gollum and what he has in this story. It's all just circulating back to that. Reading that chapter and the next one. Wait, hold on. Calanchus, cool name. You just finished reading which chapter? The Journey to the Crossroads or the Shadow of the Past? Just finished reading that chapter and the next one. The Old Wood was a bit slow. Yeah, I will say the same thing with the Old Wood. It was one chapter that I still think I struggled with, but I understood the purpose of it. I think that chapter getting thrown in there makes you feel jumbled in the mix of everything with them because they're trapped in the old forest and they can't get out. It was still a fun side story. It was a side quest almost. I still think it is intriguing, and I think maybe an editor would cut that out, but I think it's not a crazy action-packed chapter with the Old Forest. But it is a chapter in which you feel very similarly to what the characters are feeling. So I have a weird theory, and I wrote about this during that chapter, but I actually kind of feel like he wrote that chapter to be boring, so that you felt like the chapter was a slog and you just had to get through it, which is a wild thing to do as an author. But maybe he didn't. I actually don't necessarily think he did that because he loves nature and descriptions. So I don't think, now that I know some Tolkien writing, I don't think he necessarily did that. But it's not like the most scintillating chapter. Some chapters are just great, atmospheric, and like not crazy plot driven, which I don't mind those. I love little breaks. That's one thing that I love about some of my favorite books. Whenever I revisit them, the one thing that I want more is more chill chapters where we could just kind of enjoy time with the characters rather than like all be plot driven. On the first read, it's more fun to like have a plot driven novel and like really good characters. But as you go on, the more and more I read, the more and more I want just random time with the characters. Like I want to know every little detail of what happened in this story, not just like the things that we get in this book. Also, if you guys could, make sure you like the video just so we can get more Lord of the Rings nerds out here and we can keep growing this channel. And I could potentially do this full time, which would be sweet. Yeah, I haven't started reading yet. We're going to start reading in maybe like 10 minutes. Just chilling, catching up, seeing how everyone's doing. The forward there, I have to reread the forward. I'm actually kind of excited to reread the forward and reread Concerning Hobbits and Concerning Pipeweed, because I feel like there's a lot of good information in there now that I would actually love. Whoa, gifted memberships. Sent 1 first-time gifted memberships. Revenant, thank you. I appreciate that. Portia, congratulations on your gifted membership. You can now watch some of the members videos for a month. So stock up. That's awesome. I love that. Gifted memberships are cool. I think that's like such a cool idea. The Crossing of the Roads in the next one, forgot the name in English, is The Stairs of Cirith Ungol. Also, the C is spoken as S? Wait, what? Hold on, that goes against everything that I know. Cirith Ungol? It's Cirith, right? It's not an S, right? I just read the little smile after that. You're trying to catch me, aren't you? Oh, this is great. I love this. Cirith Ungol. I should. I'm not gonna do this because I can't do this. Oh, you meant your name. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Solanchus. That's still a cool name. Captain Eagle-Otto. Ooh, Tom Bombadil's your least favorite chapter? That's actually interesting. I kind of agree that it does feel disjointed from everything else. And it makes sense too, because when he wrote that chapter, like you guys were saying, and a lot of people were saying, like he wrote that for his kids. So to be honest, it does feel disjointed. Sometimes I think children's books, you can be a bit more disjointed in them, and they don't necessarily all have to like be marching toward this one goal. I think you can kind of be a bit more all over the place and random, which I don't mind. I think Tom Bombadil is a callback to Beorn and visiting him in The Hobbit. But Tom Bombadil doesn't show up in The Hobbit, right? Actually, well, that's not really like a crazy spoiler, but Tom Bombadil was a doll one of his kids owned. I love that. That's so funny. I was just doing that with my niece and nephew. Or my 2 nieces and nephew. We were at like a rehearsal dinner for a wedding last weekend, and they were there, and I was typing into ChatGPT. I was like, just give me a story, and I would like type in everything that they wanted, and they were just having so much fun with it, and we were just reading the stories. It was so great. Hey, I didn't start early, Nemo. I don't think I started early. Did I start early? Maybe I did. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Magical creature. Beorn seems like one of the coolest beings in Middle-earth. And the Bjornlings, they called them. I want more about that. I want good info about that. Andy Serkis. So I feel like I'm maturing. I love Andy Serkis. I think he's incredible. But his voice is almost too like villainy. Like too deep and like too dramatic. I'm like, some parts in Lord of the Rings are that, and you need it. Some parts are just, you just want to have a good time. And his voice is always like so dramatic. Although I think he's incredible. I think Andy Serkis is still incredible. But like if he reads, he's like, Frodo and Sam return to their beds and lay there in silence, resting for a little. You're like, okay, that's not that dramatic of a sentence. Come on, dude. No. We're not slandering Andy Serkis here because I think he is maybe one of the most, if not the most talented actor alive, maybe of all time. Maybe maybe most versatile. I think he's maybe the most versatile actor of our time. He does everything. He's incredible. But yeah, he's not a good singer. He doesn't do the poems good. But I'm actually excited when I finish this, I think I'm going to just listen to this. It's going to be like on all the time when I'm going for walks and like in the car and stuff like that. And I'm going to switch between the two, Ingalls and Serkis. But I do love how Serkis reads. He's great. The dude is one of the best audiobook readers, maybe of all time. But he's not great at songs. Although we all do know who the best audiobook reader is of all time. And his name is Jim Dale. Hot take. People prop up the Phil Dragish audiobook too much. It's a fan thing. Interesting. Now, did someone mention... I feel like I heard things about this, that people were like, someone read the audiobooks. Someone read the audiobooks, or someone read the books. Someone read the books independently and they were better. I know that happened with Harry Potter. And everyone loves that guy's reading the best. But I don't know. I'm a Serkis fan, but I haven't done any of the Ingalls one. If you guys have listened to Harry Potter, the real question is, John Voth, thank you, Cecilia. Who do you like as an audiobook reader for that series? Do you like the one and the only Jim Dale? Or do you like the other guy? I don't sound biased at all. No, I haven't started the reading yet. We're going to start the reading in about 5 minutes. We'll start at 1:10. Just kind of chill for a little bit. I like just chilling, hanging out. Jim Dale is the best. He's the best. You can't beat Jim Dale. Yes, I love that people like Jim Dale more than Stephen Fry. You can tell all the Americans. All the Americans in the audience. I love it. No, Fry, no way. Fry's voice makes you want to blow your nose. That's one of the best descriptions of Fry's nose that I've heard. Which is interesting that his Gollum voice isn't that great. That's funny. This is an American YouTube chat. Yes, I made the time for this video more specific so that our British contingent and our European contingent can listen. Come on, it's like perfect timing for you guys. You guys get it right out of work. Who is Jim Dale? Jim Dale is, the GOAT audiobook reader. He's the best. He's so good. I love him. He's so good. Such a good reader. I'm a very particular audiobook reader. Yes, and our Africans. I'm a very particular audiobook reader, so there's some certain people that I just cannot stand. I tried to, when I was listening to Mistborn, I could not stand the reader for Mistborn. But I have heard the readers for, my brother keeps saying this, the readers for the Stormlight Archive are unbelievable. He says they're like a husband and wife or something like that, and he says they're so good. Wow, ironic that you're even mentioning that. Yeah, the Stormlight Archives. I've heard that they're incredible. I've heard that they're like some of the best. So I'm pretty pumped to actually, I'm not going to listen to those, but I think sometimes what I do with audiobooks is I'll read the chapter because I like physically reading. I get a lot more information out of it. So I like physically reading, and then like on a walk, I'll just re-listen to that chapter or something like that, just to live in that world a little bit longer. I do that all the time. I haven't really done that with Lord of the Rings too much because I've been rereading it all the time. So I actually have to get into some of the audiobooks and see which people that I like the best. If anybody wants to hire me as an audiobook reader, I'm not a great reader, but I'll learn. And I would like to do this for the rest of my life. So reach out to anybody that you know. Also, guys, like the video too, if you can, just so you know. I can grow this channel and maybe just read for the rest of my life. How dare you say that Jim Dale's female voices sound like chain smokers? How dare you? Jim Dale is a saint. Catherine Kelligren. Don't even know. Is that the audiobook reader who for Stormlight Archive? I know. I was trying to do Percy Jackson. I got to get back to that. Yeah, you have to help me with pronunciations because I sucked at those pronunciations. A long time ago, I read Percy Jackson, the full book on Twitch, and that was really fun. I'll get back to those eventually. I read the first 2, and I ended, and I haven't picked it up again since, like, such a interesting end for that. Good luck editing. Everyone go subscribe. He's got a great channel. Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. There's nothing better than that. Factor Fantasy. Everyone go subscribe to that channel ASAP as possible. Alrighty. You guys ready to do a live read? Alrighty. Let's jump in. It's a short chapter, so I don't think it's going to be like that crazy long, but let's give it a shot. Places of Roshar. ASAP as possible. Exactly. Make sure you subscribe ASAP as possible. Okay, here we go. Let's get reading. Something, actually, side note, and again, another distraction. Side note for, because sometimes I get comments about this. 2 things. One, I am learning how to read slightly better for audio and for like live. Typically when I read, when I'm by myself when I'm reading, I don't think about this much, but the more I read, the more I'm doing this. I just read left to right. Like one word comes after the other, which is obvious how you read. But when I'm doing this now, I'm trying to trick my brain into reading pretty much half of the line and then saying that line because I just have committed that to memory right there, forgetting that, and then reading in my head the next line and then saying that line out loud. It's like I read in 5-word chunks and then say that 5-word chunk and then go on to the next one. It's a weird way. I've never really read that way before, but I'm trying to trick my brain into doing that because I make a lot less mistakes when I do that. But it's hard to trick my brain into doing that again. And then another side note, just so everyone knows this is not, if you're looking for a great audiobook and you want this to be your audiobook of choice, it's not it, because I cannot not get distracted by literally one sentence in here. So I'm going to read, and if after I get through a paragraph or if I see something interesting, I'm going to stop and talk about that ad nauseum. So this isn't like a scintillating, if you just want to like be put to bed with listening to an audiobook, this is not for you, because I'm going to talk about random things that I want to talk about. So that's what this is. That's what everyone, I think you guys are here for. Yeah, not here for the audiobook. Yeah, you guys, if you want a good audiobook, listen to, why are you here? Go and listen to Andy Serkis. Do I compare to Andy Serkis? No, not under any circumstances. That guy is one of the greatest actors of our time. And I'm just a random dude in my office right now reading Lord of the Rings. No comparison. Yeah, someone's first time read is fun. As a particularly fast reader, going a few words or a line at a time is the way. Interesting. I know they teach you that when you're speed reading. I took a speed reading class, and they said you just do this. You go first line, or first, like your fingers kind of guide it along the page, and you just do, I don't know how to describe this, but your fingers are on the page, and you just bounce from line to line, and you just do this. And you just like get whatever you can in that half second, and you just go to the next one. Random. Yeah, exactly. You guys are here for a random dude experiencing this for the first time. So without further ado, let's read. Sorry, we're already getting distracted. Here we go. This is The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. Chapter 7? Chapter 7. Journey to the Crossroad. Frodo and Sam returned to their beds and lay there in silence, resting for a little, while men bestirred themselves and the business of the day began. What a good word. Bestirred. Tolkien has a lot of words. I'm just going to start word dropping. Bestirred is a fun word. Just writing good word here. After a while, water was brought to them, and they were led to a table where food was set for three. Faramir broke his fast with them. Now, hold on. This is just him. This is breakfast, correct? Like, I know breakfast is you break your fast. He's not actually fasting. He was eating in the last chapter. Did it mention something about him fasting? He's just breaking breakfasting, right? He's breakfasting. Okay, just breakfast. Okay, good. Yeah, it's a cooler way to say he ate breakfast. Faramir broke his fast with them. Every time I eat breakfast now, I'm going to say, time to break fast. He had not slept since the battle on the day before, yet he did not look weary. When they had finished, they stood up. May no hunger trouble you on the road, said Faramir. You have little provisions, but some small store of food fit for travelers I have ordered to be stowed in your packs. You will have no lack of water as you walk in Ithilien. Nice, I love that. But do not drink of any stream that flows from Imlad Morgul, the valley of the living death. Hold on. Lots to talk about here. You will have no lack of stream. So first of all, I love that he's packing their packs here. That makes me excited. Nemo eats at midday and calls it breakfast. I mean, I guess the first time you eat in the day, that's a breakfast. I love that he's packing their packs here with all these good foods. That's huge for them. Their packs are going to be heavier, which sucks. That's like if anybody does backpacking, if you go into a town and pack up, that the next day that you pack or that you go backpacking is always hard because your pack is like, no joke, sometimes 10 to 15 pounds heavier, depending on how much food you bring. Sometimes it's 20 pounds heavier. And I love this. This is very reminiscent. So again, I'm a backpacker, so I love, talking about hiking and water. But East Coast hiking has no problem ever finding water. It feels very much like Ithilien. If you are hiking on the West Coast, sometimes you have long stretches where you're not able to find water, which is why, this is a weird combination of both of them. Like, there's water here, but Ithilien feels like West Coast kind of environment. Like the scents, the smells, like Mediterranean. It's interesting. We talk about the packs in another paragraph. Yes, this is what I'm into. A hiking chapter. Please, let's get more into hiking. Also, everyone like the stream. I'm going to just keep throwing that in there. Like the stream so that more people, more Lord of the Rings nerds can watch this. And this can get out to more children of Lord of the Rings, more children of Tolkien. But do not drink from any stream that flows from Imlad Morgul, the valley of living death. That's interesting that they call it that now. I'm sure they didn't call that in the time of Numenor, but I'm sure Faramir calls that now. The valley of living death. Unless this is something that's ancient. Yeah, Mordor has poo water. Wow, that's actually interesting that you don't drink water out of Pittsburgh, because there's certain towns on the East Coast that you do the same thing. Well, Pittsburgh is kind of East Coast. But yeah, I didn't know that about Pittsburgh, but there's a few towns that if you pass through when you're hiking on the East Coast, it's known to not really drink from water that comes from there. This also I must tell you. My scouts and watchers have all returned, even some that have crept within sight of Morannon. They all find a strange thing. The land is empty. Nothing is on the road, and no sound of foot or horn or bowstring is anywhere to be heard. A waiting silence broods above the nameless land. I do not know what this portends, but the time draws swiftly to some great conclusion. Storm is coming. Hasten while you may. If you are ready, let us go. The sun will soon rise above the shadow. What? Why is Mordor clearing out? Is this when they're going to take over Osgiliath? No, is that the wrong army for this? Weird. The land is empty. Well, no, they're still behind Mordor. He's not talking about the land in Mordor. He's talking about the land in between, like the land between Ithilien and Emyn Muil. Marching soldiers. Ithilien is empty. Not, well, yeah, thank you. Not Mordor. That's still pretty crazy. I guess they've mustered all the troops that they can. I wonder why. Like, wouldn't he just want more to keep coming in, more pouring in? I guess if they get everyone that they need, then they're kind of good. Huh. Ironically, water that flows through cemeteries tastes great and crisp due to minerals leached from bones. Wow, that is chilling. Huh. Weird. This is weird. Why is Ithilien barren now? Huh. The hobbits' packs were brought to them. A little heavier than they had been. Yes, just mentioned that. And also 2 stout staves of polished wood, shod with iron, and with carven heads through which ran plated leather thongs. I have no fitting gifts to give you at our parting, said Faramir. But take these staves. They may be of service to those who walk or climb in the wild. The men of the White Mountains use them, though these have been cut down to your height and newly shod. They are made of the fair tree Lebethron, beloved wood of the woodwrights of Gondor. And a virtue has been set upon them of finding and returning. May that virtue not wholly fail under the shadow into which you go. The hobbits bowed low. Most gracious host, said Frodo, it is said to me that by Elrond half-elven, that I should find friendship upon the way, secret and unlooked for. Certainly I have looked for no such friendship as you have shown. To have found it turns evil to great good. Man, I hate goodbyes. That's so good. Man. Hold on. What did he give them? This is climbing gear? Staves. Staves are like things you... Hold on. I need to look this up. The Staves. It's a folk duo. Staffs. Okay, staffs. Staves is staffs. Walking sticks. Love that. So they're not a folk duo. Huh. That's cool. It is good climbing gear, to be honest. Newly shod. They put metal tips on the end of the sticks, I think. Interesting. Yeah, what does shod mean? You like know these words in context when you're reading? Shod, created, made, newly shed, shod. Fit a horse with shoes. So, oh no, that's interesting. So there's actually metal on the end of these. That's really cool. Put shoes on. Like shoed, shod. That makes sense. Duh. Yeah, they do that with walking sticks, like backpacking sticks. If anybody uses hiking poles or trekking poles, that's what they do from. It's like little metal tips so they don't get worn out. This is really cool. That'd be a cool gift. Honestly, I love a good walking stick like that. That's pretty dope. And then here, I love this too. The hobbits bowed low. Hold on one second. I want to read this before. I love that they are made of the fair tree Lebethron, beloved woodwrights of Gondor. Beloved of the woodwrights of Gondor. And a virtue has been set upon them of finding and returning. May that virtue not wholly fail under the shadow into which you must go. That is crazy, actually. I kind of missed that on this first little thing. A virtue has been set on them of finding and returning. So these staffs are supposed to find the way, help you find the way, this virtue put on them, and then it's supposed to help you return. Is this the reason why they're actually able to return? This could be the whole big thing. Ah, that's a bummer that it loses the old-fashioned cool words. Yeah, I know. That's like the fun thing. Whether it's magic or not, it's up to me. I can determine that. I'm going to make a video about this. The real reason there was a return journey. The movies don't tell you. Walking sticks and the return journey. That's actually crazy. A virtue has been set upon them of finding and returning. May that virtue not wholly fail under the shadow into which you go. Wow, that is so good. The hobbits bowed low. Most gracious host, said Frodo. It was said to me by Elrond Half-Elven. Why is he called half? Why is it Half-Elven? Do elves have last names? Because isn't Arwen's Arwen Indomniel? Wait, hold the phone. Why has no one told me Elrond is half human? Excuse me? Undomiel is a title. Okay, hold on. Wait, that is actually crazy. I'm sure you guys told me that, but that probably went right over my head. So when she marries Aragorn, she becomes human. That's why she loses her immortality. Holy smokes. So hold on. How many elves are actually half elves? Are there like full elves? Did we lose? Are there no more full elves on Middle Earth? Or is Elrond just a half elf? He's like one of the only ones. Only Elrond's family? That is crazy. Hold on. Time out. I don't know a lot about Beren and Luthien, only what I read in Lord of the Rings right now. But are they descendants from Beren and Luthien? That would be crazy. No way. This is the greatest love story I've ever read in my life. That's crazy. So they're descendants from Beren and Luthien, and then all of a sudden Arwen and Aragorn are like Beren and Luthien, little combos there. So that's why she can give up her mortality. I always question that. In the movies, I always thought that this is a weird point. Not I always thought. I thought this when I first started watching the movies. When I first started watching the movies, I thought her immortality was in the little necklace that she gave him. So when she gives him her immortality and the thing breaks and shatters, that's like the signal of her immortality leaving her. I've always wondered that. How they give up their immortality. That's not like something you can easily do. So when she gives up her immortality, she's able to still probably last a long time, no? Yeah, it is kind of really confusing in the movies. Nemo. I also kind of remember that, but it's like I need to process that on my own. And this is funny too, because this is how my reads are going to go. Until I actually read something for myself and see this, you guys can tell me as much as you want, but it's going to go in one ear and out the other. I'm a weird person that I need to be able to do the research on my own. And that's when it sinks in and like seeps into my brain. It's terrible. I hate it, but that's what it is. That is crazy. You get all this in the appendices. Okay, this is so crazy. This is cool. Yeah, that is the way. So it is kind of nice because sometimes I read stuff like if you guys talk on like Discord or like even on these chats and you like say something that's kind of spoilery and I read it, I guarantee you I'm going to forget about it until I actually come back to that. Frodo is also half Baggins. Yeah, because he's a Took, right? I knew that one. I think I knew that one. Yeah, I'm going to read The Hobbit next. The Hobbit's the next one I'm going to read, then The Silmarillion. I'm so excited for these. I feel like I want to go faster, but I don't at the same time. I just want to keep, like, my first time read is only going to be so long. So I want to drag this out for as long as I can, but I cannot wait to get to every single new chapter that comes. Like, everything is just so exciting. Arwen choosing her fate is choosing to experience love and grief alongside Aragorn to die. The grief it produces, not literally to become human. Interesting. Is that your interpretation? Like, do people have different interpretations of that? And also, I love that I am literally only, like 4 or 5 paragraphs into this. And we've been going for 20 minutes. This is what dreams are made of, guys. This is the stuff that I love. Frodo's the 5th Baggins? Even the Sackville Baggins has looked down on him? That's crazy. Wow, you're reading the Silmarillion for the first time and it's actually dark? I kind of like a good little dark story like that. I'm kind of excited for that. Interesting. Yeah, the next chapters are going to be long because the next chapters are just long. The Stairs of Cirith Ungol is a long chapter. She Loves Lair is a pretty, not the crazy long chapter, but the Choices of Master Samwise is a long chapter. I don't know what his choices are. I'm excited for that one. Crazy. Can someone tell me how long Elrond is? So Elrond is immortal. Let's say Elrond chooses, or let's talk about this. Let's say Arwen chooses, her mortality. She chooses to forgive, to forego and give up her immortality. How long does she then live? Is it debatable? Elrond is 6,497 years old. The dude is an old dude. A few hundred years. Interesting. Longer than she wants to. Yeah. Because there's the one section in the movies that I actually kind of thought they did well, but I don't know this yet because I don't really know Arwen. When her father gives the reason for why he told her to leave. And she's like, oh, the last of your days will be utterly spent, or whatever he says. Interesting. Yeah, a good first time read is a fast one, but also a slow one at the same time. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's keep reading. Well, yeah, I mean, I still, granted all this, you guys are saying all this kind of stuff, but I'm still just going to forget it until I read it in the appendices myself, which is my curse, but also my blessing. And it's good for you guys too, because I'm going to be re-surprised at all this stuff. One of these days I'm going to be like, oh, no way, Elrond's half elven? No, I'm not going to do that. That'd be terrible. All right, here we go. Let's keep reading. Also, like the stream, everyone. Every time I recommence reading. Galadriel is over 8,000 years old. Dang. That's crazy. How old is Arwen? She's in her cougar years right now. Watch out. Now they made ready to depart. Gollum was brought out of some corner or hiding hole, and he seemed better pleased with himself than he had been, though he kept close to Frodo and avoided the glance of Faramir. 21 in human terms. 21 in human years. She's 2K, 3K years old. That's crazy. Wow. She's in her cougar era. Your guide must be blindfolded, said Faramir. Ooh, but you and your servant Samwise I release from this if you wish. Oh, so my quick prediction on this. Sam and Frodo are going to go out of this blindfolded because they want to go in unison with Gollum. Gollum squealed and squirmed and clutched at Frodo when they came to bind his eyes, and Frodo said, blindfold us all three. Did I call that or what? I know these characters. And cover up my eyes first, and then perhaps he will see that no harm is meant. This was done, and they were led from the cave of Henneth Annun. After they had passed the passages and stairs, they felt cool morning air, fresh and sweet about them. Still blind, they went on for some little time. up and then gently down. At last the voice of Faramir ordered them to be uncovered. They stood under the boughs of the woods again. No noise of the falls could be heard, for a long southward slope lay now between them and the ravine in which the stream flowed. To the west they could see the light through the trees, as if the world came there to a sudden end, at a brink looking out only to the sky. Here is our last parting of our ways, said Faramir. If you take my counsel, you will not turn eastward yet. Go straight on, for thus you will have the cover of the woodland for many miles. Okay, hold on. I get a picture of all this in my head. On your west is an edge where the land falls into the great vale, sometimes suddenly and sheer, sometimes in long hillsides. Keep near to this edge and the skirts of the forest. In the beginning of your journey, you may walk under daylight, I think. The land dreams in a false peace. And for while all evil is withdrawn, fare you well while you may. That's interesting too, because are the lands cleared out essentially because of divine intervention again? Like, does Ithilien know that Frodo's there, and is Ithilien guiding Frodo and clearing out the lands of Ithilien? And this was something that I didn't really talk about in the last chapter. Yeah, it's just the calm before the storm. I feel like that might be true. But Eru Ilúvatar, right? Might be doing this. More likely the calm before the storm. Yeah, Sauron's just gathering his forces. This was something that I mentioned in the previous chapter. I just lost my track of what it was in the previous chapter that I thought of. Oh, Ethel. Fair Ethel. Is this a god? Or is this the moon? Faramir mentions this in the Forbidden Pool chapter, where he talks about, he's like, looks up at the moon, and then he says, where was this? Moonset over Gondor, fair Ethel, as he goes from Middle-earth, glances upon the white locks of old Mindalluin. I didn't really... Oh, Ethel is the moon. So Ithilien is... Minas Anor is the Tower of the Sun. Ithilien is the lands of the moon. The moon's garden. That's beautiful. Ethel is the moon, which is an angel. Moon is male, sun is female. Interesting. Details in the Silmarillion. Okay, love that. That's what I need. I need more details in the Silmarillion. Also, everyone liked the video. You're kidding. I'm not going to do that all the time, but I'm just going to annoy you guys just enough. I just want new Lord of the Rings nerds watching these videos. That's all. Okay. This is interesting, though. He embraced the hobbits. Aww. Wait. Fare you well while you may. He embraced the hobbits then, after the manner of his people, stooping and placing his hands upon their shoulders and kissing their foreheads. Go with the goodwill of all good men, he said. They bowed to the ground. Then he turned, and without looking back, he left them and went to his two guards that stood at a little distance away. They marveled to see with what speed these green-clad men now moved, vanishing almost in the twinkling of an eye. The forest where Faramir had stood seemed empty and drear, as if a dream had passed. This is devastating writing. How good of a writer is he? Oh my gosh. Guys, this is insane how good of writing this is. It's so poetic. This is the most poetic prose that I've ever encountered in my life. Like, I know people who are good writers. Some people write great fiction. Some people write great stories. Some people write great poetry. But like, after this, he goes, he looks at these men. They bowed to the ground. Then he turned, and without looking back, he left them and went to his 2 guards that stood a little distance away. They marveled to see with what speed these green-clad men now moved, vanishing almost in the twinkling of an eye. The forest where Faramir had stood seemed empty and drear, as if a dream had passed. Oh my gosh. This is so good. This is... It annoys me how good of writing this is. It is so extraordinary. This is a really sad goodbye, too. He embraced the hobbits, then, after the manner of his people. Now, is this the manner of... So, like, is this the manner of just saying goodbye in Gondor? Or is this the manner of saying goodbye to a child? Because stooping and placing his hands upon their shoulders. I'm guessing you just kiss someone's forehead. This was in the movies, right? I feel like this was in the movies somewhere. Galadriel did this when she kissed the hobbits' foreheads after she bid them farewell. Gondorians are just huggers. He stoops just because they're short. Yeah, for sure. But I was wondering if like this was the traditional greeting or like farewell for a child then. Aragorn did this to Boromir as a farewell. Oh my gosh. That has so much meaning to it now. I need to make a video about that. Oh my gosh. The greeting, the farewell of Boromir. That's going to be a quick one. Aragorn is doing this in line with his people. Oh my gosh, that's so extraordinary. Oh, good. Honestly, there's something's cute about a good forehead kiss. I give my dog forehead kisses every day. Every time I see him, I go give him a little smooch on the forehead. Forehead kiss feels great. Viggo Mortensen liked forehead bashes, right? That was in the appendices of the movie. He would just bash people's foreheads. This is a sad goodbye, though. Forehead kisses are so tender. Love the little things. All right, let's keep going. Gosh, he's so good at farewells. Frodo sighed and turned back southward. This is sad. This is a sad sentence that they're out of Faramir's company now. This kind of hurts as I'm reading. We're not going to be with Faramir too much anymore. Frodo sighed and turned back southward. As if to mark his disregard of all such courtesy, Gollum was scrabbling in the mold at the foot of a tree. Hungry again already? Thought Sam. Well, now for it again. Have they gone at last? Said Gollum. Nasty, wicked men. Smeagol's neck still hurts him. Yes, it does. Let's go. Yes, let us go, said Frodo. But if you can only speak ill of those who showed you mercy, keep silent. Nice, good Frodo. Shut up. Shut up, you little cretin. Nice, master, said Gollum. Smeagol was only joking. Always forgives, he does. Yes, yes. Even nice master's little tricks is. Oh, yes, nice master, nice Smeagol. That feels like an ominous line, like he will not forgive, and he's going to remember this forever. Frodo and Sam did not answer. Hoisting their packs and taking their staves in their hands, they passed on into the wood of Ithilien. Man, this is good. You know what would have been a good little moment in the movies if they gave them walking sticks, walking staves, if you will, after this meeting with Faramir. Like if they started walking with walking staves. That would have been just like a fun little moment. Because I don't know when they would necessarily lose their walking staves. It seems like when they join in the Fellowship at Rivendell, they don't have walking staves anymore. Or maybe that's right after that. Or I don't know. I don't know exactly when that is. In the movie, at least. I don't think they have staves in the beginning of the book. I think they're just walking out. Twice that day they rested and took little of the food provided and took a little of the food provided by Faramir. Dried fruits and salted meats, enough for many days, and bread enough to last while it was still fresh. Gollum ate nothing. The sun rose and passed overhead unseen, and began to sink, and the light through the trees to the west grew golden. And always they walked in cool green shadow, and all about them was silence. Birds seemed all to have flown away, or to have fallen dumb. Darkness came early to the silent wood, and before the fall of night, they halted, weary, for they had walked 7 leagues or more from Henneth Annun. Frodo lay and slept away the night on the deep mold beneath the ancient tree. Sam beside him was more uneasy. He woke many times, but there was never a sign of Gollum, who had slipped off as soon as the others had settled to rest. Whether he had slept by himself in some hole nearby, or had wandered restlessly prowling through the night, he did not say. But he returned with the first glimmer of light and roused his companions. Must get up. Yes, they must, he said. Long way to go still. South and east. Hobbits must make haste. Hold on. A league is 3 miles? How? I gotta Google this. How many is a league? 3.4. 3.45. Let's round that up to 3.5 miles. Hold on. 7. So they did 24, 25 miles? No, more than that. Like 26. That is a legitimate hiking day. Henneth Annun and Cirith Ungol are pretty far away. Interesting. That's a good hiking day. And they had walked 7 leagues or more from Henneth Annun. Well, I guess if darkness is coming, actually that makes sense. What's that in kilometers? I don't know, miles to kilometers, maybe like 40 kilometers, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, with short legs. Did it on an empty stomach. That's impressive that they could do that. That's very impressive. That's mighty impressive. The most I did in a day was 36 miles. That was a tiring day. That was a long day. I've done 28. I've done a few long ones, but 1 league is 5.5 kilometers. That is crazy. Like 6 mountain tombs according to your map. 33 kilometers according to Google. Man, that's actually crazy. That's a long hike. That is a long day. Gosh. Where is Gollum going to? The times when he leaves are a little unsettling. Like, I don't know where he's off to. Like, is he going to look for food? Is that as simple as that? Or is he going to, like, check up on Shelob? Like, imagine Gollum runs ahead, really quick runs up the stairs, really quick runs down because he sees Shelob is there and ready. And then he's like, okay, he's good. I feel like he's just eating. Yeah, I feel like that's probably what it is. But it just unsettles me so much. And Tolkien knows how to unsettle someone because he just keeps making Gollum run away. Maybe there's another essay in that, how Tolkien really unsettles you with Gollum, not just in like his personality, but just in his disappearance. Because I feel more calm when Gollum is around when he's not than when he's not. I would rather Gollum be in the story because then I have an eye on him rather than be absent. Maybe an idea. The absence of Gollum. That's crazy. It's creepy. That is such a cool point. And I'm sure a lot of you probably have read the books before you watch the movie. But that is actually crazy. that you don't know what is going to happen in this cave. That is terrifying. Imagine, I couldn't imagine reading that for the first time, just knowing that they're going up to this. And then even with what Faramir was saying, because he's like, old lore masters will blanch and fall silent. Ugh. You're not that scared of spiders. I don't think even if you're not that scared of spiders, I think it's like still a legitimate thing to fear. Middle Earth is a league. In Middle Earth, a league is just 3 miles. Okay, interesting. That's so crazy. Sam I am from Sam and Green Eggs and Ham. That's a great little like tidbit there. Athelian woman who would hide Frodo from orcs. Shelob's lair. Honestly, it kind of sounds like it. Shelob could be like a woman, and they're hiding people from the orcs. That actually kind of makes sense. Dang, that is crazy. Yeah, if you don't know what's going on, this is like a terrifying march where they're going. It's like the only real way that they can get in, but you're like, oh, I don't know what's around this corner, and that is actually so horrifying. So cool. This is fun. This is great. Alrighty, let's knock this out. That day passed much as the day before had gone, except that the silence seemed deeper, and the air grew heavy, and it began to stifle under the trees. It felt as if thunder was brewing. Gollum often paused, sniffing the air, and then he would mutter to himself and urge them to greater speed. As the third stage of their day's march drew on, and afternoon waned, the forest opened out, and the trees became larger and more scattered. Great ilexes of huge girth stood dark and solemn in wide glades, with here and there among them hoary ash trees, and giant oaks just putting out their brown-green buds. About them lay long lawns of green grass dappled with celandine and anemones, white and blue, now folded for sleep. And there were acres populous with leaves of woodland hyacinths. Beautiful. Already their sleek bell stems were thrusting through the mold. No living creature, beast or bird, was to be seen. But in these open places, Gollum grew afraid. And they walked now with caution, flitting from one long shadow to another. Gollum has to be afraid. Beautiful descriptions, by the way. Wow, I love when he describes flowers. It's like the ultimate way of description. Is Gollum Gollum has to be getting more afraid because he's marching closer and closer to Cirith Ungol. And Minas Morgul, really. Like, he's marching closer to Mordor, which he is really the last place that he wants to go. Yeah, ilexes. Actually, I was actually going to ask that. Ilexes are Mediterranean hollyoaks. Hold on. Take a journey with me. Why is my camera going blurry? There we go. Sorry. Ilexes. Oh, they're like hollies, which is what you just said. Hollyoaks. Hold on, everyone. Ilex. That's not a great picture. That was actually a terrible picture. There's not a lot of good pictures of ilexes, to be honest. A lot of people drew pictures of them, or like there's a lot of paintings of them. There's not actually a lot of pictures. I wonder if they're like going more, or if they're very rare or something. Huh. Weird. So you say that Gollum is justified in his fear? I mean, like, I'm getting afraid too in this section, but Gollum's fear seems to be... Let me move the camera right here so my focus point is good. Gollum's fear seems to be... Yeah, getting closer to Mordor, I guess. I mean, I guess that should be Frodo and Sam's fear too, but they don't know what's on really the other side of Mordor, so they don't have that much to fear. Huh. Gollum's fear is completely justified. All right, let's keep reading. Light was fading fast when they came to the forest end. There they sat under an old gnarled oak that sent its roots twisting like snakes down a steep, crumbling bank. A deep, dim valley lay before them. On its further side, the wood gathered again, blue and gray under the sullen evening, and marched on southward. To the right, the mountains of Gondor glowed, remote in the west, under a fire-flecked sky. Beautiful. To the left lay darkness, the towering walls of Mordor. And out of that darkness, the long valley came, falling steeply in an ever-widening trough toward the Anduin. At its bottom ran a hurrying stream. Frodo could hear its stony voice coming up through the silence. And beside it, on the hither side, a road went winding down like a pale ribbon, down into chill gray mist that no gleam of sunset touched. There it seemed to Frodo that he descried far off. There it seemed to Frodo that he descried far off. I don't know that verb. That he descried far off, floating as it were on an old shadowy sea, the high, dim tops and broken pinnacles of old towers forlorn and dark. He just saw far off? Descried. Help me out here so I don't have to look this up quick. I'm guessing that's just like he sees. He like spots in the distance. Descried, saw, perceived. Okay. Past tense of descry. That doesn't help me that much. I don't know what descry is. I don't use descry in like everyday normal language. Descry, made out in the distance. So it's like you see but you sense at the same time, like an in between word. I like his archaic words. I don't know if this is like a super archaic word, but interesting. Also, welcome everyone to the stream. If you guys are just tuning in, make sure you like it so more Lord of the Rings people can jump in. We can have more fun. These live reads are like the highlight of my week. I literally get giddy and excited every time I get to do this. I was planning this whole morning, so excited to do this. I hope you guys get excited by this too. I love this. He turned to Gollum. Do you know where we are? He said. Yes, master. Dangerous place. This is the road from the Tower of the Moon. Master, down to the ruined city by the shores of the river. The ruined city, yes, very nasty place, full of enemies. We shouldn't have taken the men's advice. Hobbits have come a long way out of the path. Must go east now, away up there. He waved his skinny arm toward the darkling mountains. And we can't use this road, oh no. Cruel peoples comes this way, down from the tower. Frodo looked down onto the road. At any rate, nothing was moving on it now. It appeared lonely and forsaken, running down to an empty ruin in the mist. But there was an evil feeling in the air, as if things might indeed be passing up and down that eyes could not see. Frodo shuddered as he looked again at the distant pinnacles now dwindling into night, and the sound of water seemed cold and cruel. The voice of Morgulduin, so this is the river, the polluted stream that flowed from the Valley of the Wraiths. So they shouldn't drink from that. Don't drink from that, please. Is there going to be something stupid that they actually drink from this? That would be furious. Galadriel's mirror is an example of scrying. Interesting. Imagine if they drink from this river. You know what? There's a story that I always remembered for some reason about I forgot what it was called. I could probably find it quick. But it was about a guy who has a hawk or a falcon. He's like a falconer. And the falcon, he goes and gets a drink of water from the stream, and the falcon knocks it out of his hand. And then he goes and gets another drink, like getting annoyed at the falcon knocks it out of his hand again, and he tries again the third time, and the falcon knocks it out of his hand. And the guy gets annoyed, so he kills the falcon, which is ridiculous. Like, no, that's ridiculous. And then he walks upstream to get some more water. And he realized like a dead snake was in the water or something like that. Was that just a story about Genghis Khan or something? I don't know. I remember hearing this story. And then there was a dead snake in the water that was like poisoning it or something like that. Like a venomous snake. I don't know. Some weird story like that. Anybody know that story? Or I'm just making stories up. Fight a nickel for every time a Hobbit protagonist encounters a cursed river. You have 2 nickels. Hobbit protagonist encounters a... Does that happen in the Hobbit too? What's a cursed river down there? Interesting. Probably something in Mirkwood. Everything in Mirkwood seems cursed. I like that you guys know the story. Noble Falcon. Huh. It's in the Book of Virtues. That's where I know it. Yeah, I love all the little stories in the Book of Virtues. For my, I had a speech class when I was in college, and we had to give a speech on the Book of. We had to pick one. We had to pick one story in the Book of Virtues, and we had to just speak it and give a oration of the story just in our own words. And it was one of my favorite assignments. I still remember it. I had to do it my freshman year. I was so nervous to public speak because I hated it, and I had to pick a story about. We had to do 3 different stories, and my story was about an oak, a willow, and a yew tree, and how there was these 3 trees. There was a bird that came, and these 3 trees didn't help the bird out, and then the last tree was a evergreen, like a pine or something like that. And the story was like why the evergreen is always green or something like that. Great story. I did a crap job of explaining it there, but it's a great story. And it was fun to like act the whole thing out. Anyway, sorry. Long aside. Let's keep reading. What shall we do? He said. We have walked long and far. Shall we look for some place in the wood behind where we can lie hidden? No good hiding in the dark, said Gollum. It's in that day hobbits must hide now. Yes, in day. Oh, come, said Sam. We must rest for a bit. Even if we get up in the middle of the night. There'll still be hours of the dark then. Time enough for you to take us on a long march, if you know the way. Gollum reluctantly agreed to this. And he turned back toward the trees, working eastward for a while along the straggling edges of the wood. He would not rest on the ground so near the evil road. And after some debate, they all climbed up into the crotch of a large holm oak. Poor holm oak. We can make a funny essay on that one. Some people hate those ones that I do. Funny essay? ? I don't know if there's enough there. He would not rest on the ground so near the evil road. After some debate, they all climbed into the crotch of a large holm oak. Yeah, the meaning of words changes. But it's fun to like take your own meaning of words today and, throw it into ancient, beautiful texts and make them a little stranger. It's always fun to do that. Large holm oak, whose thick branches springing together from the trunk made a good hiding place and a fairly comfortable refuge. Night fell, and it grew altogether dark under the canopy of a tree. Frodo and Sam drank a little water and ate some bread and dried fruit. But Gollum at once curled up and went to sleep. The hobbits did not shut their eyes. Gollum is acting strange. He's acting very strange here. It must have been a little after midnight when Gollum woke up. Suddenly, they were aware of his pale eyes, unlidded, gleaming at them. He listened and stiffened, which seemed, as they had noticed before, his usual method of discovering the time of night. Are we rested? Have we had beautiful sleep? He said. Let's go. Anytime I wake someone up now, if they're in sleeping, that's what I'm going to say. Have we rested? Or are we rested? Have we had beautiful sleep? He said. That's the best Gollum line that there is. Ooh, Gloin's grandfather's name is Groin. Imagine. That's not real, right? That can't be real. Imagine if his real name. Wow, that'd be wild. Gloin. My name is Gloin, son of Groin. We aren't, and we haven't, growled Sam. But we'll go if we must. Groin, yeah. Oh, which I actually, okay, so when I pronounce Gloin, because I always put it at Gloin, Gimli, son of Gloin, I like it so much more that I pronounce it Glowin. It just sounds so much cooler. But I don't know if that's the actual real pronunciation. I think that's maybe is debatable. It's Glowin. It just sounds so much better. Growin and Glowin. Yes, I love how you guys, okay, so that is the correct pronunciation. Glowin. Just here for terrible puns. You came to the right place. I'm actually not great at puns, but sometimes they're fun. I wish I was better at puns. That's his grandpa's name. I love that. Glowin is right. Jackson got it wrong. Freaking Peter. Come on. Gollum dropped at once from the branches of the tree onto all fours, and the hobbits followed more slowly. As soon as they were down, they went on again with Gollum leading, eastwards, up the dark sloping lands. They could see a little, for the night was now so deep that they were hardly aware of all the stems of trees before they stumbled against them. The ground became more broken, and walking was more difficult. But Gollum seemed in no way troubled. He led them through thickets of wastes of brambles, sometimes round the lip of a deep cleft or a dark pit, sometimes down into black bush. Gosh, can't say this word. Sometimes down into black bush. Gosh. Sometime down into black bush shrouded hollows and out again. There's too much alliteration there. You can never have too much alliteration. Sometimes you can. Tolkien does a really good job of finding the balance. But if ever they went a little downward, always the further slope was longer and steeper. They were climbing steadily. At their first halt, they looked back, and they could dimly perceive the roots of the forest they had left behind, lying like a vast, dense shadow. A darker night under the dark, blank sky. There seemed to be a great blackness looming slowly out of the east, eating up the faint, blurred stars. Later, the sinking moon escaped from the pursuing cloud, but was ringed all about with a sticky yellow glare. This is like smog. This is like, not like Smog the dragon. This is like smog, the actual pollution. And it's interesting too. So this is a fascinating one. What is the river polluted with? Like, I guess they're just lighting fires all the time. Orc filth. I guess they're just pooping in the river. Volcano stuff. Yeah, maybe some ash, volcano stuff. Wicked magic, a lot of urination and poo. With evil. Demon magic from Sauron. Everything bad. Definitely pollution of both magical and mundane. It's like it's like a nuclear facility over there. Nuclear waste they just dump into the into the river. The Tower of Dark Sorcery. That's actually crazy. It's interesting too that magic would leave pollution. That's actually kind of crazy. Ashes from Mount Doom. But that would be, isn't that somewhat healthy? Ash is a somewhat healthy thing for nature. I guess not like initially, like, when mountains are spouting ash, I guess can kind of consume, but ash soil is very healthy. Except in Mistborn, when it doesn't grow anything because there's no sun. Well, yeah, not for your water, but a little bit of charcoal. A little bit of charcoal purifies your water. Real volcanoes lead to a lot of fertility issues. Interesting. Ash fell from the sky. That's the line. This is fascinating. Like lots of random questions pop up in my head. So Smog. At last Gollum turned to the hobbits. Day soon, he said. Hobbits must hurry. Not safe to stay in the open in these places. Make haste. He quickened his pace, and they followed him wearily. Soon they began to climb up onto a great hog back of land. For the most part, it was covered with a thick growth of gorse and whortleberry, and low troughs of thorns, and low tough thorns, not trough, and low tough thorns. Though here and there clearings opened, the scars of recent fires. The gorse bushes became more frequent as they got nearer the top. Very old and tall they were, gaunt and leggy thick below, but thick above, and already putting out yellow flowers that glimmered in the gloom and gave a faint, sweet scent. Do we have these in real life? This sounds like forsythia, but thorny forsythia. Hold on, let me look this up. How do you spell this? Gorse. A gorse bush. Oh, wow. Gosh, imagine walking through those things. Here are some gorse bushes, guys. That's a lot. They're pretty beautiful, though. They're common in the UK. I don't know if I've ever seen one of these things. I'm sure I have somewhere. Oh, Ireland, Washington State. I guess they're in Washington State. Whoops, wrong one. Prickly and beautiful. Huh. You've walked through gorse bushes like that? Do they hurt? Are they like actually painful prickly? They smell good. Oh, coconut lime. I love this. Gorse are all over coastal Britain. Wow, that's kind of cool. I wish we had it. We have forsythia all over the East Coast. Forsythia is like I'm sure all you guys know forsythia. It's beautiful, yellow like. For about 1 week in the spring, our mountains are just yellow. They're beautiful. They're like the first thing to bloom too. They look like the smell lovely. All right. Remember that the Nazgul are one of the few explicitly undead things in Middle-earth, being stuck between life and death, not bones inhabited by spirits like wights. They are entirely unnatural. Yeah, they don't belong. They are invasive plants here in southern Chile. Chile. Do they smell like Gollum? Right. Where am I? Why did I just lose my place? At last, Gollum, make haste. Sorry. He quickened. No, I just read this. Wait, though here and there clearings open, the scars of recent fires. So tall were the spiny thickets that the hobbits could walk upright under them, passing through long, dry aisles carpeted with a deep, prickly mold. On the further edge of this broad hill back, they stayed their march and crawled for hiding underneath a tangled knot of thorns. Their twisted boughs, stooping to the ground, were overridden by a clambering maze of old briars. Deep inside there was a hollow hall, raftered with dead branch and bramble, and roofed with the first leaves and shoots of spring. There they lay for a while, too tired yet to eat, and peering out through the holes in the covert, they watched for the slow growth of day. But no day came. Only a dead brown twilight. That's depressing. In the east there was a dull red glare under the lowering cloud, It was not the red of dawn. Across the tumbled lands between the mountains of Ephel-Duath frowned at them. Black and shapeless below, where night lay thick and did not pass away. Above, with jagged tops and edges outlined, hard, menacing against the fierce glow, against the fiery glow. Away to their right, a great shoulder of the mountains stood out, dark and black amid shadows, thrusting westward. Which way do we go from here? Asked Frodo. Is that the opening of the Morgul Valley? Away over there beyond that black mass? Need we think about it yet? Said Sam. Surely we're not going to move any more today, if day it is. Perhaps not, said Gollum. But we must go soon to the crossroad. Yes, to the crossroad. That's the way over there. Yes, master. Huh. Dawnless day. So this is a bit depressing because they're probably going to just have dawnless day and clouds for the rest of their journey. I mean, I'm all for a cloudy day. I like a good cloudy day, to be honest. I'm like, not a crazy popular opinion, but cloudy days are really nice. I love them. I have a good cloudy day right now. But, yeah, it helps them stay hidden, I guess. No shadow. I guess that's why they call it the shadowless land. But they do call it the shadow. Yeah, cloudy days are good, but not smoggy pollution cloudy days. Yes, I'm glad that you like cloudy days too. I like a good cloudy day. I like a good variety. Some people are like, no, I just only want sunny weather. I'm like, no, give me like every gamut of weather within a week. I like all weather. The land of shadow. It should be called the land of no shadow. The shadowless land. I feel like I've heard the shadowless. Why have I heard? Am I just making this up that it was called the shadowless land too? The land of shadow. No, it's the land of shadow. Why? I feel like I've heard the shadowless land before. A deep fog. That's actually a niche. That's actually real niche. Ooh. Low battery and walking. About 2 hours from home. Enjoy the rest of your walk. Have a good time. Shadow of clouds. Okay, let's keep reading. What do we have? Only 2 more pages left. Or three. Not bad. The red glare over Mordor died away. Excuse me. The twilight deepened as great vapors rose in the east and crawled above them. Frodo and Sam took a little food and then lay down. But Gollum was restless. He would not eat any of their food, but he drank a little water and then crawled about under the bushes, sniffing and muttering. Then suddenly he disappeared. Off hunting, I suppose, said Sam and yawned. It was his turn to sleep first, and he was soon deep in a dream. He thought he was back in Bag End Garden, looking for something, but he had a heavy pack on his back, which made him stoop. It all seemed very weedy and rank somehow, and thorns and bracken were invading the beds down near the bottom hedge. A job of work for me, I can see, but I'm so tired. He kept on saying. Presently he remembered what he was looking for. My pipe, he said, and with that he woke up. Silly, he said to himself, as he opened his eyes and wondered why he was laying down under the hedge. It's in your pack all the time. Then he realized, first, that the pipe might be in his pack, but he had no leaf, and next that he was hundreds of miles from Bag End. He sat up. It seemed to be almost dark. Why had his master let him sleep out of turn right on till evening? Huh. I love that Sam is dreaming this year. In Sam's dreams, he's actually doing work and gardening. That's so lovely. Anytime there's a weird dream, I always feel like there's some weird interpretation here. Like I feel like I have a lot that I should look at in this and try to decipher. First time watching and you're in a movie theater. Hopefully I'm not too loud. I'll whisper. so everyone else can enjoy the movie. Hopefully you have headphones on or something like that. This is interesting. Yeah. I've had a few dreams like that where I've been so tired in my dream that I've actually been tired. And it's happened a lot while I've been backpacking. You have a lot of I've had a lot of like weird lucid dreams. Well, not a lot of lucid dreams, but a lot of weird dreams when I've been backpacking. Very like clear. You still dream about work and you've been retired for 20 years. That's crazy. I love that. That's cool. Job of work for me, I can see. But I'm so tired, he kept on saying. Haven't you had no sleep, Mr. Frodo? He said. What's the time? Seems to be getting late. No, it isn't, said Frodo. But the day is getting darker instead of lighter. Darker and darker. As far as I can tell, it isn't midday yet. And you've only slept for about 3 hours. I wonder what's up, said Sam. Is there a storm coming? If so, it's going to be the worst there ever was. We shall wish we were down a deep hole, not stuck under a hedge. He listened. What's that? Thunder? Or drums? Or what is that? I don't know, said Frodo. It's been going on for a good while now. Sometimes the ground seems to tremble. Sometimes there seems to be heavy air throbbing in your ears. Sam looked round. Where's Gollum? He said. Hasn't he come back yet? No, said Frodo. There's not been a sight or sound of him. Well, I can't abide him, said Sam. In fact, I've never taken anything on a journey that I have been less sorry to lose on the way. But it would be just like him, after coming all these miles, to go and get lost now, just when we shall need him most. That is, if he's ever going to be of any use, which I doubt. I love Sam. You forget the marshes, said Frodo. I hope nothing has happened to him. And I hope he's up to no tricks. Anyway, I hope he doesn't fall into other hands, as you might say. Because if he does, we shall soon be in trouble. For that moment, a rolling and a rumbling noise was heard again. Louder and deeper. The ground seemed to quiver under their feet. Is this marching? This is interesting. I mean, like, don't give me spoilers, so I'm sure I'll figure out what this is in a bit. Initial thought was thunder. Then I thought earthquakes. Then I thought it has to be like the volcano going, right? And then I thought marching people? They're getting closer to Minas Morgul. I'm curious if Minas Morgul is actually going to have troops that pour out of it or not. Or if they all just come from Mordor. That's an interesting thought for me. Volcano? Yeah. That's a great point. It feels like listening to far off shells and gunfire in the smog of war. Dang, that's actually terrifying. Maybe there's an essay in there. A car factory in Oxford. That's sad. Read and find out. Yep. They do have Oliphants. Maybe the Oliphants are just storming up, like causing a little ruckus there. At that moment, a rolling and a rumbling noise was heard again, louder and now deeper. The ground seemed to quiver under their feet. I think we are in for trouble anyhow, said Frodo. I'm afraid our journey is drawing to an end. Maybe, said Sam. But where there's life, there's hope, as my gaffer used to say. And need of victuals, as he most ways used to add. You have a bite, Mr. Frodo. And then a bit of sleep. The old gaffer. So good. Late afternoon. Oh, no, we only have a page left. This is so sad. Late afternoon, as Sam supposed it must be called, wore on. Looking out from the covert, he could see only a dun, shadowless world, falling slowly into a featureless, colorless gloom. It felt stifling, but not warm. Frodo slept unquietly, turning and tossing, and sometimes murmuring. Twice, Sam thought he heard him speaking Gandalf's name. This time seemed to drag interminably. The time seemed to drag interminably. Wait, Frodo slept unquietly, turning and tossing, sometimes murmuring. Twice Sam thought he heard him speaking Gandalf's name. I wonder what he's dreaming of. Tossing and turning. The time seemed to drag interminably. Suddenly, Sam heard a hiss behind him, and there was Gollum on all fours, peering at them with gleaming eyes. Wake up, wake up, wake up, sleepies, he whispered. Wake up, no time to lose. We must go, yes, we must go at once. No time to lose. Sam stared at him suspiciously. He seemed frightened or excited. Go now? What's your little game? It isn't time yet. It can't be tea time even. Leastways, not in decent places where there is tea time. Silly, he hissed. We're not in decent places. Time's running short. Yes, running fast. No time to lose. We must go. Wake up, master. Wake up. He clawed at Frodo. And Frodo, startled out of sleep, sat up suddenly and seized him by the arm. Gollum tore himself loose and backed away. Whoa, he clawed at Frodo, and Frodo, startled out of sleep, sat up suddenly and seized him by the arm. Gollum tore himself loose and backed away. What was Frodo dreaming about? Maybe the Balrog right here? Huh. All right, let's keep reading. They mustn't be silly, he hissed. We must go. No time to lose. And nothing more could they get out of him. Where he had been, and what he thought he was brewing to make him in such a hurry, he would not say. Sam was filled with deep suspicion, and it showed. But Frodo gave no sign of what was passing in his mind. He sighed, hoisted his pack, and prepared to go out in ever-gathering darkness. Very stealthily, Gollum led them down the hillside, keeping under cover, whether it was possible, and running almost bent to the ground, across any open space. But the light was now dim, so dim that even a keen-eyed beast of the wild could scarcely have seen the hobbits, hooded in their great cloaks, nor heard them, walking as warily as the little people can. Without a crack of a twig or the rustle of a leaf, they passed and vanished. Wow. For about an hour they went on, silently, in single file, oppressed by the gloom and by the absolute stillness of the land, broken only now and again by the faint rumblings as of thunder far away or drum beats in some hollow of the hills. Down from their hiding place they went, and then turning south, they steered as straight a course as Gollum could find, across a long broken slope that leaned up toward the mountains. Presently, not far ahead, looming up like a black wall, they saw a belt of trees. As they drew near, they became aware that these were of vast size, very ancient it seemed, and still towering high, that their tops were gaunt and broken, as if tempest and lightning blasts had swept across them, but had failed to kill them or to shake their fathomless roots. The crossroads, yes, whispered Gollum. The first words that had been spoken since they left their hiding place. We must go that way. What is he up to? He's so creepy in this chapter. Turning eastward now, he led them up the slope, and then suddenly there was before them the southward road, winding its way about the outer feet of the mountains, until presently it plunged into the great ring of trees. "That is the only way," whispered Gollum. "No paths beyond the roads, no paths. We must go to the crossroads. But make haste, be silent." As furtively as scouts within the encampment of their enemies, they crept down onto the road and stole along its westward edges until the stony bank, or under the stony bank, gray as the stones themselves, and soft-footed as hunting cats. At length they reached the trees, and found that they stood in a great roofless ring, open in the middle to the somber sky, and the spaces between their immense boles were like the great dark arches of some ruined hall. In the very center 4 ways met. Behind them lay the road to the Moronnon. Before them it ran out again up upon its long journey south. To their right, the road from old Osgiliath came climbing up, and crossing passed out eastward into darkness. The 4th way, the road they were to take, the eastward road into darkness, the 4th way, the road they were to take. Standing there for a moment, filled with dread, Frodo became aware that a light was shining. He saw it glowing on Sam's face beside him. Turning toward it, he saw, beyond an arch of boughs, the road to Osgiliath, running almost as straight as a stretched ribbon down into the west. There, far away, beyond sad Gondor, now overwhelmed in shade, the sun was sinking, finding at last the hem of the great slow-rolling pall of cloud, and falling in an ominous fire toward the yet unsullied sea. Oh, this is such good description. The brief glow fell upon a huge sitting figure, still and solemn, the brief glow fell upon a huge sitting figure, still and solemn as the great stone kings of Argonath. The years had gnawed it, and violent hands had maimed it. Its head was gone, and in its place was set a mockery, a round, rough-hewn stone, rudely painted by savage hands in the likeness of a grinning face, with one large red eye in the midst of its forehead. Upon its knees and mighty chair, and all about the pedestal, were idle scrawls mixed with foul symbols that the maggot folk of Mordor used. We know what J.R.R. Tolkien thinks about graffiti and about, trashing something that is beautiful. Suddenly, caught by the level beams, Frodo saw the old king's head. It was lying rolled away by the roadside. "Look, Sam," he cried, startled into speech. "Look, the king has got a crown again." The eyes were hollow, and the carven beard was broken, but about the high stern forehead there was a coronal of silver and gold. A trailing plant with flowers, like small white stars, had bound itself across the brows as if in reverence for the fallen king. And in the crevices of his stony hair, yellow stone crop gleamed. "They cannot conquer forever," said Frodo. And then suddenly the brief glimpse was gone. The sun dipped and vanished, as if at the shuddering of a lamp, black night fell. That's so good. Just that description. The king, they cannot conquer forever. Legitimately, that might be one of my favorite lines in all of Lord of the Rings right now. They cannot conquer forever. Holy smokes. That is such a good ending to this chapter. I was actually kind of curious about when we were going to see this because, sorry, hold on. Camera battery died. When did it die? I just got in a groove right there. That would actually be crazy if that would be crazy if as soon as I said, yeah, the Black Knight fell, the camera went black. That is perfect timing. Darkness fell in Mordor. I'm not in Mordor, guys. I promise. I promise. Wow. That was so good. That was a great ending. There's an essay in that one. Huh. Man, that was yeah, the camera did have comedic timing. I saw it right away. Okay, good. That was a really interesting end to this chapter. I was like expecting, because I know the movies have that little thing in the extended edition, and they did that really well actually. And then the Ted Naismith's art has that. So I was looking it up, and it said the Journey to the Crossroads, which was that chapter, had that image, or like he painted, or like he yeah, I think he painted that one. He painted like a picture of this thing in the end of the chapter. So I was like ready for this to pop up in the chapter. I didn't think it was going to happen at the end. Even on the last page, I was like, okay, we're not going to get to that. So like maybe that's in the next chapter. And then all of a sudden it just pops out of nowhere. That was great. What a good end to the chapter. They cannot conquer forever. And this is literally, maybe they're not at their lowest right here, but man, it's a great resistance note here. Like even in the midst of darkness, they cannot conquer forever. They're at one of their lowest, but they have to remember that they cannot conquer forever. Jess of the Shire had one where she talked about darkness and one of her lights went out. That's actually great. That's so funny. It's funny how things like that randomly work. Wow. I actually really enjoyed that chapter. It was different. It was definitely a transitional chapter, but I have a lot to think about and not to process through that one. I think the only, I mean, like, there's a bunch of sub-essays, like small essays. I think the absence of Gollum could be an essay. I'm probably right about that one, how, like, that's the creepiest part. The walking sticks and their return journey, I think that's an important symbol in this. The farewell of Boromir with the kiss on the forehead, I definitely want to do a small, that's going to be like a 2-minute video probably. And then the main one about they cannot conquer forever. That's a great, there's a good essay in that one somewhere. Huh. It's like even in the chapters that aren't like, you know, the super popular chapters, they're still so good. They're still such incredible chapters. Like there's not a ton of action that happens in these chapters, but it's just such an extraordinary chapter. So I'm all for this chapter. That was a good one. Because of the Shelob's Lair chapter, when I first read Lord of the Rings, I missed the school bus because it was so invested. That's actually the best way to do it. Oh, dude, thank you for the battery money for the dead camera, Shatterman. Thank you so much. That's so cool of you. Truly, I really appreciate that. That makes me very, very grateful. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Honestly, like, I don't want to ever end these streams. These are just fun. I just want to sit and chat about Lord of the Rings, but I don't know all the details of it. I'm actually pretty pumped to do this, especially with the Silmarillion, like going chapter by chapter in the Silmarillion and just like getting deep dives on that kind of stuff. So pumped to do that. So excited for that. Yeah, eventually when we hit a super chat goal, I want to do a Lord of the Rings trivia night. I think that'd be really fun. Me and Lizzie were doing this. Lizzie's part of the first time readers. And we were doing that. She has a bunch of quotes that she wrote down that she really loves. And she was like, okay, so who said this quote? And it was so difficult. I was like, Lizzie, can you send me this? Cause we need to do like a full trivia night for all these lines. I don't know how much else other like detailed trivia I would do. It'd be kind of fun though. Like a YouTube trivia night. I should read the Silmarillion before the Hobbit, really. I want to do the Hobbit because I think it'll be not like a quicker read than the Silmarillion, but I can see myself being on the Silmarillion for like 2 years. I think I'm going to be in the Silmarillion for a really long time. I definitely think I'm going to live read the Silmarillion too. I think I'm going to live read everything right now for Lord of the Rings. It seems like the Tolkien Foundation doesn't have that much of a like copyright issue with some of this, and especially what we're doing, because I'm not really like, this isn't a live read. This is just a reaction. So I think we're kind of skirting this a bit. I'm glad that you're watching these when you can't sleep. That's fun. Yeah, every Silmarillion reading. I'm so pumped to do this Silmarillion, but I think we're gonna get there. I think it's gonna take a while for me to get there. Well, not like a while, but so I read The Hobbit. So let's wrap this up. Let's say by, what do you guys think? By the end of the year, do you think I'm gonna finish Return of the King? I think that's ambitious. I would say probably like the beginning, early next year, I'll finish Lord of the Rings. Maybe. I actually don't know. I can't really picture it. It's August right now. It's August 1st. So maybe by the end of this year, I'll finish it. Let's just say that. Then The Hobbit is going to take another 4 or 5 months. So by like summer of next year, I'll be in the Silmarillion. We'll be deep in the Silmarillion. That's exciting. I know the Silmarillion is going to be tough. It's probably going to be a little tougher to read, but yeah, we'll see. Return of the King narrative shorter. Oh, so hold on. Can someone answer this for me? Is part 6, because I know there's 6 parts of this, is part 6 actual narrative or is it appendices? So is it part 5, part 6, and then the appendices, or part 6 is the appendices? Oh, so it is narrative. Okay, good. That makes me happy. I'm pretty pumped for the appendices too. The appendices honestly might be really long. I might have to sit on the appendices for a while because I feel like there's going to be a lot of essays that might come out of the appendices. I feel like there's going to be a lot of fun little details I'm going to learn. So we'll get there when we get there. The appendices are their own thing. Good. Okay. Excellent. Love that. And then we're going to get into all those others. Like the Silmarillion is going to be broken up. We're going to do the Silmarillion, but then we're going to do the Children of Húrin. Within that, the Fall of Gondolin. All those great ones. Selective readings of the appendices. Okay. Because I don't necessarily want to read the appendices where there's one appendix where it's like the pronunciations. Maybe I really should read that live. We'll do a live read and I'll try to actually learn what the appendices translations or pronunciations are. Please don't snip the appendix. One of the appendices is just the timeline. Okay. Maybe I'll like scan them real quick and like maybe we'll probably break the appendices down a little bit with the whole crew. We'll probably talk about some of them. And then we'll go through them. But as soon as we finish this, then we'll figure out what we're going to do next. I don't know. Jen and Danny are having a kid, so they might be a little bit more busy. But me and Lizzie will chill and discuss books all day. Danny will definitely keep doing this. But Jen might be busy, so we might have to get like a sub in. Maybe go for like the Dune series next or Game of Thrones or something like that. So that's what we'll supplement with that. And then Lord of the Rings, the reads I do for this, like I want to keep doing, I'll probably keep doing Lord of the Rings stuff for as long as I'm alive because I think there's a lot there. I think it'll probably take me, like, okay, so think about this, guys. At the current pace that I'm going in with Lord of the Rings, how much longer do you think if I read everything that was in like Tolkien's Legendarium, how many years are we talking here? Is that like a 5-year plan? Like the Silmarillion feels like it's going to take me, like, I'm not even joking, like a solid 2 years to get through. With everything that I'm like thinking about writing for that, I feel like it would be wild. Like I feel like the Silmarillion is going to be a while. And then because within the Silmarillion is going to be like the Children of Húrin, right? Because there's a chapter in the Silmarillion that is essentially that, or the Fall of Gondolin or whatever it is. And then Beren and Luthien is in there. So I'm going to like read those books when I'm there. Forever the History of Middle-earth is 10 volumes. If you like Lord of the Rings and are invested, I feel like it isn't that hard. Obviously, don't read it first. What do you mean? More than the life of a man. Silmarillion is a hard slog. History of Middle-earth is 10 books. Hobbit and Lord of the Rings are the only canon books. Interesting. But the Silmarillion is kind of, right? Like the fans pretty much revere that as canon. Is it like secondary canon? Yeah, I'll read it. Yeah, I want to read that, Letters from Father Christmas, and then what's the other one? Leaf by Niggle. What's that one? Longer if you do the histories, which are largely the evolution of the drafts. Yeah, okay, so that's what I was... Nemo was telling me that before, that the history of Middle-earth is just the history of the drafts, essentially. Not like all of it, but I'm sure a lot of it is probably just the history of the drafts. The rest is compiled by notes from Tolkien. Oh, okay, interesting. But a lot of it was already like written, right? He just kind of filled in the last little bits of notes. But with all that, like I'm going to still kind of read some of the Brandon Sanderson stuff that I'm doing. I'll get into some Dune, some Game of Thrones. Some stuff is like easier essay writing. I want to get into Narnia. I'll probably get into Narnia and the Space Trilogy. And then I want to do, Game of Thrones. I want to do like the Wheel of Time. That is like a huge one that I want to try to get into, but those ones are going to just take a while. And I feel like some of those books, it just depends. Some of them are easier to read. Some of them are like more digestible. Like Narnia might be like a essay. I might write a lot more essays about that one than I would say, like even Brandon Sanderson's work. Brandon Sanderson's work is great, but there's a few essays that I could write in this. Like I'm thinking about writing an essay about manipulation because he writes a lot about that. And like even like PTSD, he had a depiction of a character really who dealt with PTSD or not like shell shocked really well. So maybe I'll start writing about some essays about that. But some people's writing, like Tolkien's work, like literally I'll read this for a second time. Maybe I'll do a second time live read, and I'll probably come up with like totally different new essays to do. That's why I think this book is very timeless, because I could probably read this 50 times and get new things every single time that I read it. So yeah, it's gonna be good. We're gonna have fun doing this. This is gonna be phenomenal. I'm pretty pumped. Leaf by Niggle. A lot of post. I can never say that word. Private notes and tools you use to stay on track. Silmarillion is going to be... I feel like... that's what I feel like for the Silmarillion. I feel like I'm going to be writing like 30 essays per chapter of the Silmarillion. I feel like there's not going to be a paragraph where I can't not write a chapter. I don't know anything about it, but it just feels like that. If it's like this epic history of it, I think I'm going to be so fascinated by every little thing that he says in that I'm going to want to write an essay on everything. We got a Silmarillion canon versus not canon debate here. Yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. That was a fun little live read. I'm actually pretty pumped for the next chapter. And then the next chapter might be sometime mid next week, because I don't have a ton that I'm going to write about this one. So I'm pretty pumped. The next chapter is The Stairs of Cirith Ungol. So we'll get there. 40,000 years before Lord of the Rings. Oh my gosh. That's crazy, actually. Wow, that is actually wild. Merry Christmas. Thanks for the dono, too. I appreciate that. That really means a lot to me. Lets me keep doing this. Next chapter is going to be a lot of essays. That's what I feel like. Some of these longer chapters, they definitely give me a lot of essays. All right, guys. I'm gonna jump off. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Happy Easter. Happy Christmas. Happy August 1st. This is August 1st today right now. That's wild. I can't believe the summer is going that fast. But I love doing this. I'm pretty pumped to keep redoing these live reads. They're really fun. Send this to any friends and family who are Lord of the Rings fans. And oh, wait. I think I've memorized this so far. Hold on, everyone. Correct me if I'm wrong. We look toward Numenor that was, and beyond that to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome, and will ever and evermore will be. I think I messed up a word or two in there. We look toward Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome, and will and evermore will be. I think I got it right on that one. I stumbled a little bit at the end, but yeah, it's the best sign off. It's the only good sign off that you need. Every Lord of the Rings channel needs to sign off like that. I don't know why everyone's not signing off like that. You know, crazy. Juice, I'm glad you tuned in, even in a movie theater. That makes me happy. All right, I'll let you guys know a little bit ahead of time. This one was like a last minute live stream. I only posted this like 2-3 hours before I actually did it. But next time I'll let you guys know like a day in advance. So if anybody wants to, they can kind of plan for it. But for now, I'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Go chill. Go sit under a sunlit wall and go laugh with Faramir. Have a good one, guys. Yeah. Tell me how to pronounce your name next one. Great chatting with you guys, and I will see you in the next one. I gotta make another one that says stream ending soon. Sorry about that, guys. Always fun with you guys. I'll see you guys later.